you said you picked up some bone crunchers.
I did. I still remind me to circle back and ask you about the text you sent me Saturday night, okay?
Okay.
But I do want to jump in. My bone crunchers itch is in full effect right now. And
I can get some calamine lotion for that.
You haven't seen any of these yet.
Okay.
So I'm pretty pumped for you to see what I've picked up.
All right.
Bin number 1, or bag number 1, per se. We got ourselves nothing too special. It's like a Stone Cold Steve Austin shotgun Saturday night kind of deal.
All right.
I picked it up. It's in like great shape. I got it for $3.
So here's the problem we had earlier is that I was talking about how the markers got all over all these figures. Every Stone Cold that I have has this terrible black marker and black scuff all around his head.
Yeah, I was going to say, it gets on his bald head.
So he basically has Rogaine actually going. But one of them also is that Stone Cold that you got last week.
Yeah.
And it's the remains of what was the Brian Christopher figure or the Scotty or whatever we did the customs of one time.
Yeah.
And so he's got orange all around his head.
This is lousy. This one I was pretty pumped about. And again, like a lot of these cards are in great shape. This is Ringside Collection Series 2, Honky Tonk Man.
Yeah.
This one's kind of sweet.
I was jealous you had that because I never saw that thing in stores. Because I know the rest of that set is Slaughter and Cornette. And
Jim Ross,
Cameraman?
Vince, and the Ref. No, Cameraman isn't in this one. But
okay.
Jim Ross is, yeah.
So, like, I had all the other ones, but I never saw that one. And then when you got that tote with the wrestling figures, one of the very first ones I saw in there was that Honky Tonk Man. I'm like, how the hell did everybody have this but me? And I was the junkie at the time.
Now, I mean, that one isn't technically a bone cruncher, though, right?
No, that's a barely move figure.
I was going to say, like, it's all, like, super hard plastic.
Like, I probably would have hated that
It's, like, around
that
that same time, so to me, it's kind of cool.
Like, I would have hated using that figure.
Yeah.
But I also would have loved it. It's kind of like that Luna figure. Just to have that person and another wrestler at the time, I would have been pumped about. But to actually use, no. It's like with the Hasbro, the Rick Rude, the headlock. And you're like, this sucked. And the Ric Flair one's like that, too. It sucked.
Yeah. All right, so this next one here, you actually know about this one because I sent you a picture of it while I was at the store. But this one was special to me because I was actually at WrestleMania 14. And this is the Shawn Michaels from WrestleMania 14.
I'm jealous that you
got
got
that
in the
was
box.
just super, super cool. In box, it's in great shape. He's got the white tights. He's got the vest. And you get the special, Shawn Michaels, just like WrestleMania 14 standee in the back there.
So basically the reason I have to buy all new Hasbros is, look, I have that Shawn Michaels, and my aunt found another one, and she just mailed me
vest?
it. But this Shawn Michaels, his head's glued on.
Yeah, that happened a lot with those, man. Well, I mean, all right, so here's the thing. The Jakks figures, they're not incredible by any means. Like, these were definitely made to be mass-produced.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know. For some reason, they're just, I don't know, they're kind of special to me. I didn't have a lot of these ones when I was younger. I definitely had my fair share of the Trons and stuff,
Yeah.
But I remember you having more of these than I did.
Oh, I had a crazy amount of these ones, and
Joe's parents were rich. Mine weren't.
Bullshit. Comfortable, and they saved. Hardly rich, but also my mom's a collector too, so she got hype about all this stuff.
So Joe gets it from his mama.
Yeah, and by extension, it goes over to you because you've spent so much time at this house. But like one of the ones I went down to Boston recently.
Boston.
And that big building where it has all the different food, like all the rest. I said one of the first things Jeff had me do was we had a King Middle School field trip, and 6th grade. So it's in that weird area about action figures. Everyone's too cool now.
Yeah.
But just like, dude, you got to fill up your backpack. You gotta have bunch of matches down in the middle of this place during the field trip. So I like bring like 20 action figures down there. The two of us are just freaking having action figure matches in 6th grade, right in the middle of a Boston field trip.
Why
right,
not, right?
Right in the middle while everybody else is like, I'm going to spend my money to go get pizza at this restaurant. And
we're
like, I think it was like a aquarium trip or like a historical tourist thing. But we're like,
it's a super basic kind of deal. This one, I wasn't so happy that I got, but it is part of the Bone Crunchers collection. But it's one of these weird ones.
That's when you have an addiction. You buy something you're not even happy that you bought.
Yeah, this is a slammer. This is Bret Hart. He has that like thing on his back for him to do like a body slam of some kind.
Yep.
But he has the glasses, which I thought were really cool. I like that part about it.
You know how body slams go like this.
Joe, this one I might be the most proud of.
All right, what is this?
Because I scored this. Look at the price. I scored this for $2.
Oh, and I already can see the box is really old.
Yeah, it is a Superstar Series 3 Ahmed Johnson.
Oh.
And you know how big of an Ahmed fan that I was.
Well, I know one of your favorite tapes to fall asleep to is the WWF Action Zone.
Yeah, there's just so much action.
Well, Ahmed Johnson, right before he does his body splash. Who makes that noise?
That sound you just made looks like his face. $2, Superstar Series 3, Psycho Sid.
Like what? All right, for $1 million, what is the face that Sid makes when he's caught jerking off?
Probably this one. And this is interesting because he has on the blue trunks. So this is like Sid Justice, isn't it?
No, because he didn't come back as any of that.
I know, but that's the color he wore when he was Sid Justice was blue.
What if he had his own show where it was Psycho Sid just out there serving the law enforcement?
I'd be all about that.
And then he picks up his victim as he's running away, power boss, and he just goes, "You just got served, Sid Justice."
Yeah. And this has the KB Toys sticker on it. Remember that spot, KB?
KB Toys was the absolute best. Like I liked it better than Toys R Us because it was so like white trashy, and you could buy mad toys for cheap because they'd overbuy. It's not fresh on card anymore.
Am I gonna have to let Vader breathe right now?
Through the mask?
No, like am I gonna have to open him?
No.
It's already cracked open.
Yeah, you said the same thing about my starting lineups when I was younger.
Okay, so here's Vader. And this was the, I don't know, special edition Series 1. Yeah, this was my most bizarre pickup, and I felt like a little bit of a pervert, and you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, but they talk about Stomp all the time on the Major Wrestling Brothers podcast, so I think you had to get Stomp. I had the first two series where they weren't in... This one's in space, right?
Yeah, this was Stomp Series 3, and here's... it's just Sable, and you know how much I love Sable. I got this one for $5.
So in the very first podcast, I talked about how Jeff had his Sable Bomb shirt. But the other thing I remember is in Jeff's bedroom was a gigantic Sable poster. Yeah. And if I'm guessing... Did I get you that for your birthday?
I think you did. And if you remember even more, I had the Sable VHS as well.
I got you that Sable poster, and I got you the Orgasmo VHS, which was...
Dude, we should not have been watching Orgasmo at 12.
NC-17, and I remember convincing my mom, we went into Strawberries when they were around, which was like a record CD VHS distribution store, and being like, oh man, Jeff was telling me about this movie. It's the funniest movie. I'm going to get it for him.
Okay.
Yeah, no, my parents never gave a shit about ratings about anything. And I know that Strawberries was super strict about stuff because I went to buy, I want to say like, I can't even remember what the CD was at the time. And they were like, oh, parental advisory. You can't buy it. All right, I'm just going to go to Newberry's next door.
Yeah. Joe.
Yes.
Something's wrong with this.
All right, so Jeff really needed a Lex Luger vibrator.
No.
He was jealous that I had a Lex Luger vibrator.
Tell me who this is.
The total package, Lex Luger.
Okay.
God!
You at home, tell me who this is. Okay?
Fabio.
But look who it says it is on the card.
The Taskmaster?
Yes, it even has the Taskmaster's name on the bottom. It says the Taskmaster on the card. Dude, is this some sort of like box screw up that I own?
Can you afford to pay me to correctly?
God!
It says the Taskmaster. I didn't even read that. I immediately recognize this is Lex Luger.
What kind of disgusting, despicable lack of respect.
This is not the Taskmaster, Joe.
No.
What is going on here? Look. Yes, here's Lex Luger right here on the back. Same picture. That's him.
Yeah.
Why is it saying... And look, the Taskmaster is wearing all red on the back in the series that he's in. This is Lex Luger in a Taskmaster box. What is that about?
Yeah!
I don't know!
I don't know!
That's so weird to me. Is that weird to you, though?
That's super weird. Like, I know you were super excited about it, and I had all these guys, and I remember you used to think they were the weirdest figures ever, because they were.
And they were big vibrators.
It's like, so, I think everyone's always questioned why WCW decided that kids wanted to play with vibrating wrestlers.
I'm going to need you to, like, Google that and, like, see if that's, like, a common thing. Because that, I don't know, that doesn't seem normal to me. I mean, I can see that happening in, like, a factory somewhere, but that doesn't seem like a normal thing, right?
No.
That's weird.
Clearly, somebody wasn't putting much effort into their WCW vibrators.
No.
Well, I remember when that thing first came out, I was super excited because...
Man, where do they get this stuff?
Where do they get this stuff?
But I remember having the WCW San Francisco toys, and with those, there was no Lex Luger at the time. And Lex Luger, as you know, has always been one of my absolute favorite wrestlers.
I've never understood it either. I never got why you loved Lex so much. I thought he was cool during, like, the Lex Express because he came out of a helicopter and body slammed Yokozuna. Like, that's one of the most badass things in wrestling history. But I don't know. And you were a big WCW guy, too. So I think that kind of played a big factor into you really being into Lex. I never got it.
With me, my first real exposures of wrestling was at WCW Saturday Night, which I've told you so many times. Like, that was my thing. It was 2 hours. They used to have so many guys on there. It was one of those times you're not in school. You have all day to do whatever you want. And one of the first action figures I ever got from wrestling-wise, not ever, was WCW San Francisco, the Hulk Hogan Series 1. And then, like, oh, yeah, well, you couldn't do anything because it was just...
Yeah, and it was all, like, solid, right?
Yeah, all those figures were terrible, mostly. But then I got, like, the Sting, and so, like, WCW was my thing because I had the figures. Yeah. And I always thought Lex was one of these guys that he portrayed himself like he was the best. So,
did he portray himself like he was, like, a total package?
You would almost say he was a complete narcissist.
Ah, gotcha.
But every time he was on TV, he'd always win. And, like, I was a massive Sting fan, too. So he was Sting's boy. So he's my boy. Like, that's the thing. And then, right at that time period, the NWO was kicking everybody's ass. And I liked Sting, but Sting disappeared. I grew up not liking the Four Horsemen, so I couldn't trust the Four Horsemen as a mark.
Yeah.
Hogan turned on me.
Dude, that needs to be its own podcast.
I know.
One
You
day.
and Dave want me to tell that story, and I will.
Good.
About the time Hulk Hogan turned and how I reacted.
We need to save it. You're talking about WCW action figures, and I picked you up another gift.
All right. Well, you're finding that. Basically, I thought when Lex Luger went up against the NWO, and that he was the first guy to beat Hogan clean, and he knocked out every NWO member to do it, and everybody
Yeah, because he had a metal plate in his elbow.
Yeah, and everybody went crazy. I was like, this guy is the man. I love this guy.
All right, well, yeah, it would have been a great tie-in if this were Lex Luger, but it's not. It's Diamond Dallas Page versus Kevin Nash. And if you remember in episode 1, when I picked you up those street racers,
yes,
here's another one of those. If you can actually see in there, I don't know.
Why would they make street racers? But then again, I'm buying them now, so I'm giving you the money for them.
Yeah, so add this to your tally. This was $2.
Big spender.
Yeah. Okay, this one I was pretty pumped about. This is Manager Series 1, and I was surprised there was no Cornette in Manager Series 1. When did he come into the Bone Crunchers line?
I think that was that one that you had earlier with Honky Tonk Man, because...
Okay, so he was in Series 3 then?
Because I don't know if he ever had a 2-pack, because I think by the time
he managed Yokozuna
with Yoko and Owen, Bulldog, and those guys, and Vader, I don't think he was ever in the packs with them, was he?
Maybe not.
Because I think that they had broken off just by the end of that, because there was that line between Bendham's and then Jakks.
So here is Mankind and Paul Bearer. And I thought this one was kind of cool because, you know, Paul Bearer turned on Undertaker. And I've always loved that Boiler Room Brawl match. So I just thought this one was pretty sweet. I got this for $8.
Do you remember how weird that Boiler Room was, though? Back in the time?
And it comes with the urn. I like that a lot.
Like, I have a WWF magazine here because probably from '96 is when I used to buy the magazines to then get pay-per-view recaps when they would do those.
Dude, I got a bunch of old ones in my closet.
Yes, we have to do one about those someday. But I remember with that, too, it was way more violent. There was no commentary. And Mankind won. And you would always expect The Undertaker to win.
Oh, yeah.
And you would have thought, like, Mankind was just like Kama and Undertaker and people like that before him that would lose.
Well, I mean, you also thought that Taker would win his Buried Alive match. I mean, he is the Undertaker. All right, so this one right here, you actually know about this one. I sent you a picture of this one.
And sometimes it's scary how, like, in sync well, not in sync, though sometimes you feel like a Joey Fatone. But when you sent me this, and I was like, how the heck is this like the figure you picked up? When I was looking it up the night before to replace it myself and finding like $30 price tags.
Yeah, I found it for $8. This completed my WWF Manager's Bone Crunching Action Manager Series 1. This is Bob Backlund and the Sultan, a.k.a. Junior, a.k.a. Rikishi Fatu. This is kind of a cool set, especially for $8.
Yeah, and like at the time, were you really expecting someone to get, like the Sultan to get a figure? And I mean, to have Bob Backlund have a figure?
I can tell you that I never had either of these, ever.
Well,
so that's kind of cool to me.
The thing is, I did have both of those, and I have no idea where the Sultan went. Sometimes figures just disappear.
What happened to Backlund? Did you lose him at the Bear River?
All right, so up when I was younger, up at our camp, there's a river, and my sister and I would make it a point to take all the wrestling figures and everything we own pretty much down to this river, and basically they'd be like on boat rides, and they'd have a buddy system, and there was class systems. And so, like, they'd be 10 at a time, and then they'd go on these kickboards, but they'd be on boats, and they could travel down river. Well, as you know, some wrestling figures can float, and other ones can't.
Yeah, some don't.
And Bob Backlund can float. But what Bob Backlund
you know who can't, Joe?
Buff Bagwell.
Hasbro Earthquake.
Oh, you have yes. So we're going to go into this, actually. But Bob Backlund cannot float. Well, Bob Backlund can float. What am I saying?
I don't know!
Bob Backlund can float. But what Bob Backlund can't take is you throwing a rock, throwing a rock at him, hitting him direct in the head, separating head from body. So they're taking off two different parts down a current, and we never find the head again. Bob Backlund.
So you decided to put Flash Funk's head on.
So when we did our action figure pay-per-views years later, you have all these heads and arm pieces, and, well, they match. So you said you had a story. Earthquake, right? Went down the...
Yeah, Earthquake. I lost him at Dundee Park in Wyndham when I was a kid, and I remember I cried.
Now, did you, go up and down the Dundee Park to find him? I feel like he washed up somewhere else?
Yeah.
Because when I had Bendy figures, one time, I think it was a Mabel one, went missing when I was hanging with my friend Atticus at the time. And when we found him, he was, I would say, 200, 300 yards down the beach.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, which is weird because Bendham's, they're just hard rubber that doesn't it doesn't float, or it shouldn't have that much of a pull to it. But then the other one we lost in the Bear River was a Buff Bagwell figure. So it's been a running joke forever that those old 99, 98 WCW Buff Bagwell, the one that came in the wheelchair, he is gone.
He's done.
When I think I spent about an hour and a half in ice-cold river water trying to find this guy. I think he got buried under a rock and, had to buy a new one.
Yeah, I lost him, like I said, Dundee Park on the dock. And I remember my dad even swam all the way across the beach to see if he washed up on the other shore on the opposite end, which was way further than I'd ever go for my kid if I had one. I would have said, hey, tough luck, kid. Get over it, you know? So I actually made a mistake that I have to correct. I said that last one with Backlit and the Sultan finished my Manager's 1 series, but that was only half of it. So I got Clarence Mason here, and one of Joe's favorite figures, Crush.
Well, you need all those Crush figures. You bought a Crush last week. No, you bought Chains.
Yeah, see, they're not the same, bro. All right, this figure, I didn't show you the box or anything, but I sent you a picture of the figure's face.
Okay.
And I need you to zoom in on this.
We will, because
first
if you've ever wondered about an action figure having a Coke problem, this is the one.
This is the one right here. You need to see.
They didn't call him Wild Man for no reason.
Yeah, this is Mark Marrow and Sable. You know how big of a Sable fan I was. And Sable's moving around in here.
Those are crappy figures still.
Oh, they are. A lot of these are, honestly, but
the girl figures especially because they're just all body and then 2 arms.
Yeah, and the boobs aren't even the same size, which I guess is actual science, but this one you don't know about. And I know you're going to be super jealous, bro.
I'm going to be super jealous.
Yep, because if you look on, this is a special edition 4-set. Brett, Vince. All right, I do have another Sid. I think that makes 3 Psycho Sids.
Who's the real Psycho?
The 4th, right? The 4th, you're a girl, Sunny.
Dude, I loved this Sunny. This one, and then there's a black skirt, white top Sunny.
Yeah, that one's right here on the back of the box. Yep.
And I would say that it was mine, but at a certain point, my sister wanted to have her own action figure federation, so she took all the Sunnies that I had and made them commissioners. And was it?
Did she?
Yeah. Except
that sounds like a Chrissy
that
move.
Is a total Chrissy move. But then again, in a total Joe move, I basically gave her all my doubles and shittier figures.
Oh, you mean like what you did for me? Thanks, bro. You're a real pal.
Hey, those Ninja Turtles I gave you were in good quality.
No, they were.